The second thing we wanted to talk about, which I think is interesting, is how long should we give bad media before we bounce? Let me preface this with a couple things, right? So two reasons why I brought this to the table, right? One of them is because there's a new game that just released not too long ago called Crimson Desert.
I saw that.
And yeah, people are losing their minds over it. And a lot of the discourse, or at least a lot of the reviews that I'm seeing, they kind of start with, hey, this game really gets good after 8 hours. Like for the beginning is going to be whack, but after 8 hours, after 10 hours, things are going to be better and you're going to love it. Right. And then there's, it gets mixy from there. Like some people are like, the controls are bad. These things are bad. The developer has come out and said, hey, we're going to work on that. There's a whole issue with AI and all this good stuff. And they had to, kind of apologize for that as well. So it has other issues beyond that. But that wasn't really what I wanted to talk about. It was more so about this idea of the hours put in before something is good. I also saw this with television shows where people will be like, hey, you got to get past season one. Once you get past season one, then you're good. Or I've had this happen too, especially with anime. Just skip the first season. Just skip it. I'm like, how bad does it have to be for you to be like, hey dog, just skip it? Like, is it integral to the story? Like, why are we skipping a whole season of content? Right. And so that being said, it is a natural thing that we do. Like, at least people like bring it up in terms of defense, especially if it's something that they love, right? And so I want to know, and people in the comments, you can kind of put in, whatever. What is your limit? Like, how long do you wait on something that is supposed to be great, but is perceived to be like you just perceive it as really, really bad early on? I'm super glad that I got through one battle after another, but early on, it was kind of whack for me. It was like it was not good. I stopped the movie and tweeted like, "What the is going on?" type stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But I did finish it. Unfortunately, it was still mid. Beyond that, though, I'm wondering, right? I'm wondering how long should we wait? And does it behoove you to do that when there's so many other options out there? TV shows, there's just a ton of them on streaming platforms. There's other films you can get into. There's video games you could play that are immediately good right away. For instance, playing Resident Evil 9, I was just talking about it, and there is a moment in that game where I'm like, oh, this is where the real game starts. This is where it opens up and all of the things that you were learning up until this point actually matter. And it feels like the story is starting from here. And at the same time, though, it hooks me right away. And it's really good up until that point. It just gets better, right? And so I think about books. If you guys out there still read, I'm reading a book. If I can't get past the first chapter, I ain't finishing. I don't know if this is an age thing, although I'm pretty sure I didn't do that when I was younger. I don't know if this is a reviewer thing where like the reviewers had to finish it. So they're like, hey, Crimson Desert, 8 hours in, it gets better, y'all. Or if people are just like, I invested this amount of money, I just need to finish. You know what I'm saying? So I have all these questions. I have none of the answers. So yeah, Tess, how long do you typically give something that is, people are telling you it's good, but then they preface with, hey, you got to get through A, B, and C. Like, how long do you give a piece of media?
Well, it really depends on which one of my mental disorders is ruling my brain that day, that week, that month, or that year. I didn't mean to make you spit out your soda, but that's just the damn truth. Okay.
Okay.
So whether it is ADHD, the autism, or anything else, okay, it really depends. Because if I'm hyper focused, then I'm hyper focused, even if it's chat. And I have a good example on this, because sometimes my desire to complete something is stronger than my desire to hightail it out because it's stupid. So a good example of that is one of the worst books ever written, The Devil Wears Prada. Amazing movie, horrible book. And I struggled so hard to get through this book. I was like, this book is such trash. It's so bad. Like, this book is bad. And I know some people will probably be like, oh, why do you feel like that? But no, I feel like that book is terrible. and I struggle. Honestly, I got to very, very close to the end. And it's so funny to kind of say this out loud, but I was probably, I don't know, maybe 30 pages from the end, and I was like, fuck it, I quit. Like and at that point, people will just finish it. And I'm like, no, because I can't do it. I
Yeah.
cannot. I've given it the chance, and now I have gotten more than 3/4 of the way through. I am now 7/8 through the book, and I have finally decided, not just realized, I realized it was bad 1/4 way through not even a quarter through the book, 1/8 through the book.
Right.
And I gave it a chance to get better and better and better because the movie was so effing awesome. And here I am now, 20 pages from the end of the book, and I'm like, no, screw it, I'm done. Which I did
Yeah.
end up going back and finishing those 20 pages maybe like 2 weeks later, because I don't like to just quit like that. And
Shoot.
I just this is one of those things where it's like I don't want my time back. I just want my brain back. I want to go back to the point before I ever read it, because it
Mm.
was that damaging to my soul, because it was that bad. So again, depending on what part of my brain is ruling, is it the I hate myself part that's ruling my life? Or is it the I value my time and my soul so much more than whatever this is worth? Because I have started to play a game and say this sucks and I've quit. I have started a book and said this sucks and I quit. I've started a movie and said this sucks and I quit. But I will say that I think due to my personality quirks, that's not normal for me. I normally will
Mm.
zone in, or I'm not zoned in at all. So,
Right.
but I do have that hyper focus, and I have committed to it, because what in A Song of Ice and Fire, book 4, which I hate, I struggled so much with that book because I just think it's terrible. It's just a
Hmm.
badly written book, but I'm in the series now, and I have now borrowed book 4 and book 5 from somebody else who's loaned them to me. Like, I own book 1 and 2 and 3. Did I? No, I didn't. I get those from the library. I don't own those. I don't own those hoes. Um, but I've borrowed these 2 books now from somebody else. They've loaned them to me, and I have to get through this. Like, I have to. I have committed myself,
Right.
and I am struck. And honestly, I think one of the reasons why I barely remember anything that happened in that book, outside of the fact that nothing happened in that book, but I barely remember anything that happened in that book because I was just so glazed over, because it was that
Yeah.
bad. But I committed to the whole series versus just committing to a single book. And
Okay.
so, I there have been other things. Here's a good example of video games. I play Dynasty Warriors.
Right.
Like, no matter how ridiculous Dynasty Warrior is, I'm going to play it, right?
Right.
Except the open world version, I never played it because I didn't have the system for it. I don't think they made it for Xbox, so I never played it.
Hmm.
Um, but back in the day on PlayStation 2, they did make 3 different kinds of Dynasty Warriors. So they had
Yeah.
the main Dynasty Warriors game, and then they had the Extreme Legends game, and then they had the RPG, which
Right.
I started to play because I'd never played it before, and then I got it and I started playing it. I think I was in that game for 20, 30 minutes, and then I've never played it again. I could not get into that. I was like, what is happening here? I couldn't, I don't know if I couldn't figure it out, or if
Hmm.
maybe it's not my kind of game. I don't know, but I gave it about 30 minutes and I said, yeah, this is going back. I think I rented it. And I'm like, yeah, we're taking this back within the 30 minutes that I had it so I can get another game. you know? So again, and maybe it doesn't answer anybody's question for real, but it really does matter who is Mercury ruling my brain that day, or is Venus ruling my brain that day? Is it Saturn? Because Saturn's a trash planet. And Saturn likes to take all kinds of stuff and just put it in its orbit and just keep it around. So is that me that day? Or you know, or is it am I Pluto ruining the orbit of Uranus that week, or Neptune? Like, am I just gonna crash and burn and say, nah, F these books, they suck, or F this game is stupid. Let me go break a
Stupid.
CD. Like, I don't know, but just some things. I normally, my personality is I commit, and because I don't love myself enough, and
Ah,
then
boo.
the other times I'm like, no, I value my freedom, and I don't want this to be in my head rent free. So let me keep it moving.
It could be tough. Like I know, like for me, it's mainly the time.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't want to. I'm not regretful of it because I'm like the curiosity was what made me get it in the first place
Yeah.
or whatever the case. So I'm glad I'm not curious anymore. But at the same time, I'm like, I could just be doing so many other things right now, and I typically have to do other things eventually. Why am I wasting my time now? To be fair, I have watched some stuff where I thought it was going to be bad. I went in thinking it was going to be bad, and it was bad starting out, and it got a little bit better. But that
Uh-huh.
was more so under the idea of I have nothing better to watch, and I'm killing time. Let me just see what this is about. And I don't really care if it's good or bad. Like that's happened before. Or like I was watching there's a show that it messes with my brain. There's a Korean zombie show, and it's supposed to be like a fake game show where people are trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, but I don't know if they don't know they're on the show or if the show is a it's so weird because they'll be serious, like someone dies, and they're like, "Oh my god, someone died," and they're all sad, and then someone cracks a joke, and they're all laughing, and like they break the fourth wall, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel, and I think that that alone makes me want to continue watching it. Like, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's necessarily good, but it's like I'm curious to how you guys make sense of it all
Mm-hmm.
as we go on. You know what I mean? Like, there's a weird thing where I'm I'm in this now. I'm gonna continue, but I know it's not good. But that's different from like I'm expecting this to get better and it's taking a while and I'm giving it a chance with the idea that it's gonna get better. And then it doesn't. That part is where I'm like, nope, we need to go ahead and stop. Just stop it. And
Yeah.
for me, I'm thinking if it's a video game, I might give it 3 hours. And that's pushing it. But I might give it 3 hours. The genre does matter
Yeah.
because I know RPGs are a little slower as they're introducing things, but I think you can mitigate that by having some really cool action or something really cool story wise to kind of hook people early on. You could pull a Bardo where like they show him years later in the beginning, and then you go backwards into the present or whatever, right? And it's like, oh, this is gonna be cool eventually, like that little hook or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like just being trash until you get better is not a good selling
No.
point. It's just not. Salute to everybody who you know is on that. I'm not.
Look,
I can't do it anymore.
that was Wheel
I
of
can't.
Time. Like, remember, I
Oh
quit Wheel
yeah,
of
yeah.
Time. I quit Wheel of Time halfway into season one. I was like, I can't do this. And then I finished season one. I said, I'm not going to do season two. And then season three came out, and then everybody was talking about it, and they were like, this is the best season. And it got canceled.
Well, they already felt like we got tricked with the other season, so
Right.
they probably didn't come back for the actual good one.
Right.
I have returned. I will say that
Yes.
where something X Men 2 situation
Yeah.
where oh, this is so much better
Yes.
that now I have to return.
Right.
I have done that, but I've never sat through the mess to get there though. Like that,
Right. Right. You
I'm
just
not.
go
I'm not
directly there. Just go.
exactly. Oh, let me go right.
Let the
Let me
cats
go right.
go.
Let me read a synopsis. Let me. You know what I mean? Let me skip.
Yes.